Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is brought to you by BRB Feeder LLC. They make, as you can probably guess, feeders for your colonies, syrup feeders, and they have some different forms. And today I would like to walk you through two of the options that they have. They were gracious enough to send me a couple of different variants, and so what I plan to do today is kind of walk you through those options and also how I've been prepping my lids to be able to utilize these feeders come this spring. If you watched my North American Honeybee Expo video, recap video, you saw where I did a brief interview with BRB Feeders, and they did kind of showcase some of the feeders that they have. You know, some of the issues that I got into last year that I think directly resulted in some of the colony losses that I had this year is a result of feeding 2-to-1 way too fast. As you guys, if you've been watching my recent videos, I slammed them way too hard. And so after talking to Kent Williams, and he's like, no, Josh, you gotta trickle feed them. You gotta feed them slow, like a 0.7 to 1. Keep that queen stimulated, simulate a continued nectar flow, and that should resolve your issues. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what's the best way to feed slow, thin syrup? Well, there's baggies. Okay, never really been a fan of baggies. I know several people that use them. Requires a shim. You put the baggie in there. But if you do it this time of year, it seems like you're just begging for a mess of comb in there. Better than a dead hive, I'll give you that. But, you know, just having a baggie in there, they're going to comb that up in lickety-split no time. So, I don't know. I'm just not keen on baggies right now. I have those rapid feeders that sit on top. And after talking to Kent, he said, you know, for the love of God, do not slam or quickly feed 0.7 to 1 syrup on your bees. It's almost worse than 2 to 1. I don't fully understand that, but I believe that man. So he's like, you got to feed low and slow. Enter the BRB feeder system. So what I really liked about this when they showcased it to me at the North American Honeybee Expo is the ability to really dial down, no pun intended, this is a dial, to really dial down the amount of syrup that you're allowing those bees to take at one time. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let me show you up close on camera this system, and then they have a very similar system for the mason jar. So let me back up a minute and just kind of talk about the two kit options that they have. They have a BRB bucket feeder system, which if you want to put a bucket on top of your colony to feed via a bucket, or maybe you want to feed with a mason jar, okay? This is their this is a half-gallon ball mason jar that you can pick up at Walmart for a few bucks, and it fits perfectly on this feeder. Those are the two primary form of feeders. This adapter piece that you end up securing to the top of your lid is compatible with either option, either bucket feeding option or mason jar feeding option, which I really like about that. And I'm gonna show you this in more detail. In fact, I'm gonna show you on this video how I've been installing them on my tops, on the outer covers, the telescoping outer covers. Yes, you can use this system and all this stuff with migratory lids as well. I just have telescoping outer covers, and it's compatible with that as well. So whatever type of cover you have, I do think Gigi, who's one of the owners, do think she said she doesn't recommend using them with polystyrene hives. So if you do have any questions, reach out to her. I'll put their website, a link to their website in the description. It's BRB, like be right back, even though she explained in the Nobby video, that's not what it stands for, brbfeeder.com. And you can email her info@brbfeeder.com. Everything comes with this nice little pamphlet when you order it. So feel free to reach out to her or her husband, I think it's Gary, and fire away with your questions. She's extremely responsive and we'll get back to you lickety-split, which I appreciate. So, okay, let's talk about the two different systems here. So this one is a mason jar, and inside I've already mixed up my 0.7 to 1 syrup. For those of you that don't know, the first number is the sugar content, and the second number is the water content. So X:Y. X being the sugar content, and Y being the water content. Sorry, I'm not trying to get too nerdy on you. So when you say 0.7 to 1, that is even thinner, meaning less sugar than a 1-to-1 mix. So 1-to-1 mix is 1 pound of sugar to 1 pound of water. Mix it together. That's a 1-to-1 mix. A 2-to-1 mix is 2 pounds of sugar to to 1 pound of water. That's going to be a very thick and heavy syrup that's intended to rapidly put weight on a colony. However, don't do what I did and put it on too rapid, and you end up plugging the brood nest, and now your queen doesn't have enough room to lay those winter bees, and you end up, long story short, with several colony losses like I had last year. So just kind of telling on myself there, that's why I screwed up. The 0.7 to 1, the thinner than even 1 to 1, really sort of simulates and stimulates that queen production, and like there's still a nectar flow. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here. So let me show you the 2 different systems that they have. The bucket lid that goes on top of a bucket, and the mason jar lid that goes on top of the mason jar. Try to get you close in here. It's not always easy. Like you guys know, I'm a one-man crew. But here is what the mason jar system looks like. So you can see it's made out of, I don't know, this hard plastic, 3D printed plastic. They did say that it is absolutely machine washable. And you can see that there's 6, hopefully you can see, there's 6 tiny little holes here, okay? And this dial allows you to determine how many of those holes do you want the bees to have access to. 3, like that. You could keep going, you could do 4, you could do 5, all the way up to 6 holes, okay? And so it's really like a salt and pepper shaker, right? Kent told me 3 tiny little 1/16 inch holes, which is exactly what this is simulating. And that's it. And then this screws on top of the mason jar, just like you saw me. Okay? Do just a minute ago. Set that down. Here's the bucket version. Same exact thing, guys. 6 holes up here. Got a little dial here. Dial it down to whatever you want. Okay? Down to 3. All right? Now, will the bees propolize and seal up those tiny little holes? Sure, of course. But you know what? They can unseal it whenever they want to and get to that syrup. Okay? This is meant to be a low and slow feed system, okay? And it works off the gravitational suction concept, meaning when you first flip these over, whether it's the mason jar here or whether it's the bucket, and I'm not going to do it here because I'll end up with syrup all over the table, but when you first, put this on one of these 1 gallon bucket, this is 1 gallon, half a gallon mason jar. When you first put this on here and you put your syrup in there and you flip it upside down, yes, some syrup's going to run out. But as soon as that vacuum seal happens in the top, that syrup is going to stay there until the bees start to pull it down. Pros and cons of each one. I mean, I don't really know of any cons yet. Again, I haven't used these yet, but just like visually looking at this, I could see an advantage of the mason jar being where you could just literally look out your window or wherever in your apiary, and you'll be able to visually tell, does the colony need more syrup or not? Have they taken it all down? I do like that. With the bucket system, you can tell, but you may have to shine a flashlight on it or have the sun hit it just right to see where the level is. One concern I have with the mason jar is, they do a good, let me take this back off. I will say, they do a pretty good job, snapping on top of this base. But it's not uber secure. Now, in talking with, again, I think it's Gary, he said that, and I could totally see this happening, the bees will start to propolize and darn near seal this thing shut and fixated to this lid, where when you come back, you actually have to take your hive tool and pry this thing off. That's good, because my concern is with a jar full of sugar syrup, it's top heavy. And I don't know, a heavy gust of wind or something, the last thing I want is this to blow over, and now I have a wide open hole into my colony without me knowing about it. I have to take their word for it. They've been using these for a long time. They've done lots of experimentations. They told me they have not had that happen, that the bees propolize that so quick. There's natural weight there. So I'm anxious to try it out. Now, one of the reasons I ended up ordering more of the bucket systems, I like the idea. Number one, less trips to the apiary to fill up half a gallon versus a full gallon. But each one comes with this the bucket system comes with this little adapter ring. And what that adapter ring allows you to do is it fits right over top of this, just like that. And then the bucket, when you put the lid on the bucket, where'd I set the lid? Right there. When you put the lid on the bucket, I'm just going to lightly press it on here. that little adapter system right here, that fits right in this groove of the bucket. So your bucket fits nice and secure right on top of there. Now you probably know what I'm gonna say next. This also is gonna have some good weight to it, little top heavy. I guess if strong enough wind, or if you live where I live and there's deer all over the place, they could get curious and bump it or knock it. I can put a brick on top of this, which is probably what I'll end up doing just because I like peace of mind. So you could put a heavy brick on top of this and you're pretty secure. You're pretty secure at that point. And so my initial very, very early sort of assessment and I don't know what I'm trying to say, but kind of score or whatever, I think I like the bucket a little bit better than the mason jar, but time's gonna tell, guys. Time will tell. I could be completely wrong about that. I may end up loving the mason jars. I'm really anxious to try them both out. Okay, let's get this out of the way, because now I'm gonna show you. So each one of the bucket kits comes in a little bitty package like this. You get the lid, you get this adapter ring, and you get the, I don't know what you want to call this, the plate, the cover plate, and then this literally cap that goes on top of the lid when you're not using the bucket feeder system. And guys, look at this. Okay, it is secure. All right, it's not going to blow off. In fact, when the bees end up propolizing this after you've had it on for a day or so, if you watch their instruction videos, you almost have to take your hive tool and pry this up. It's got a 1-inch circle here. These are 1-inch holes that we're going to end up drilling into the tops. And so if you look at that and you look at that hole there, it fits right inside there. And I mean, it's in there, guys. It's a really good seal. I do not see how an ambitious raindrop would be able to get under there, over, and back down. I just don't see it. And I'll show you also where you use silicone. I use this, and this isn't an endorsement or anything, but it's called Lexel, L-E-X-E-L, the tough elastic sealant for every job. This stuff sticks to darn near anything. It's really, really, really good stuff. You can get this at your local hardware. Big fan. So anyway, that's what the feeder looks like on the inside. It's just a hole. That's it. So the bees are going to come up here and access the feeder this way. And you say, Josh, why did you not put it in the center? Well, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I put cinder blocks on top of every one of my colonies instead of ratchet strapping them to prevent them from getting knocked over or tipped over. Well, offsetting the feeder up towards the top here, the bees don't care where it is. Doesn't care if it's in the middle, over here, over here, over here. My thought process is move this closer to the edge and I can still place my brick. I've got 4 of these feeders already out in the apiary right now. I don't have syrup on them yet because I still, what is it? It's March 19th. I still have the quilt boxes on and the insulation and the hive wrap. We just had a cold snap here. God willing, we're done for the year. We're not going to have any more freezing days. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful this weekend, like 70s and 80s. And so I'm going to put these feeders to the test this weekend for the first time, and I'm chomping at the bit. I'm excited to do that. So what I've been doing is just getting lids ready and prepping. So this is now my 5th one. I have 4 out there. I ordered 6 more from BRB Feeders, and that's what you see here. I ordered 6 more of the bucket systems because, like I said, my initial sort of assessment or thought process is that I'm going to like the buckets better, but like I said, I could be wrong. So let's go ahead and... I'm laughing because I'm thinking of like all those influencers that do that, get ready with me stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'm like, get ready with, build a top with me. Let's go. So anyway, that was kind of dorky, but, so take one of your telescoping lids. I'd say the first most important thing is making sure that the surface is clean because these are kind of nasty. They've been outside. Lord knows with all the elements and everything, what they've been exposed to and what's on top of there. And if you're going to put sealant on here and try to get a really good seal, see all that nastiness, well, you want to make sure that the surface is clean. So I use lacquer thinner, turpentine, lacquer thinner. It's good stuff, right? Get it cheap at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, wherever. And wherever you're going to install that adapter, just make sure the surface is clean and dry. All right. Don't forget the cap on your lacquer thinner, or you can go back. There won't be any in there because it would have all evaporated up into the air. All right. Next thing I do is I measure because I'm anal and I want it to be centered. You can certainly eyeball it and it doesn't matter. But again, OCD anal engineer here wants it to be close to perfect. So I'm no carpenter, Dave, okay? But a little trick is if you take a measurement from each side, and I know that roughly the middle of this is over 9 inches, but if you want to do it easy, just mark 9 inches from each way. It leaves that much of a gap. Right in between that gap is your center line. So that's what I do. So I do 9 inches over from here, 9 inches from here, and now I know exactly where that middle is. And from there, I measure out 6 inches, and that's where I'm going to drill. That's where I'm going to drill my hole. So 6 inches this way because you want to make sure, and let's open a new package. It's another lid. Again, this piece only comes with the bucket system. You do not need it with the mason jar system. Both systems come with this adapter plate. Both of them do. And they're, again, cross-compatible, okay? Everyone comes with an instruction booklet, and they provide you with 6 screws that we're going to use to secure this to the lid. So, all right, you take your adapter plate. See, what I had to figure out at first is I wanted to make sure I had enough clearance such that a bucket is not hanging off the edge, right? So I figured out 6 inches back is enough for the large bucket clearance here. Of course, the mason jar feeder is going to fit just fine. And then I still have a mostly centered concrete cinder block to weigh the colony down so it doesn't blow over or anything like that. So, all right, you will need a hole saw. And I have a hole saw kit. It's a 1-inch DeWalt that you're going to use for this. Ideally, you will have a hole punch because that just makes it easier to get started. So this is a hole punch where you have your dot. Just give it a couple of punches like that. Now I've got an indentation in this sheet metal. Drill your hole. Oh, safety first. Safety Sally people are going to get after me. All right, just line that up. Careful because it's going to be hot. All right. Sorry for the noise, but I vacuum up the mess. All these little metal shavings. Try to get anything that got in between that sheet metal and lid. You don't have to be perfect. Now, the one downside, I mean, I think this goes without saying, you know, thanks, Mr. Obvious. You do have to drill a hole through your lids, right? That's the one downside. Either you're okay with that or you're not. Get some of this paint off. Okay. But yeah, there you go. So now you have your hole, right? Piece of cake. So now take your adapter, and they've scored it. Bring it in for a close-up. I know the camera's kind of far away, guys, but it's kind of what's necessary to be able to give you the big picture. So that's what they look like. 6 holes for screws. Underneath, there's a scored lip here, okay? And that's where you're gonna, you guessed it, put your silicone to seal it. So no ambitious raindrops can get in. And you just take a bead all the way around. Go generous with it. You don't want to completely glob it on there, but you want to make sure that there's enough to go inside that little tray there and get a good seal. All right. Just like that. Flip it around. Figure out which way you want the lettering, made in the USA, which I point that out. Line it up over the hole. Get it at least as square as you think. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but eyeball it. And go ahead and press that down. And that silicone's gonna keep it somewhat in place, okay? Then you want a little teeny tiny drill to drill pilot holes, because these sheet metal screws are not self-tapping. And so if you don't drill a tiny little pilot hole, it just takes a lot longer. So bear with me here. Do your best not to break your drill bit off. It's easy with these tiny ones. So after I get those first two done, what I do is I go ahead and get a couple screws in there so it doesn't move on me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just use an impact driver here. For some reason, my dad's does not like to stay in. He falls out a lot, but that's all right. All right, and then I just kind of make sure hand tighten. Yep. Yep, okay, now it's not going anywhere, right? And so go ahead and drill the rest of your pilot holes here. Last one. Okay, let's get the rest of these in. Two more. Last one. As my dad would say, that's the one you've been waiting for. All right. Like I said, I kind of just check them, make sure that they're tight. Usually they are. Yep. And that's it. Another one in the books. Like I said, the lid snaps on really firm and tight. Pick up the thing, buy the lid. Look at that. I'm telling you, it's on there, okay? It's not going to come off on its own. So let me bring you in close here. You can see kind of the finished product. There you go. That's what it looks like. And these are heavy lids, by the way. These are heavy. Inside. Now, one thing that may come up is, Josh, what if syrup gets in there? What if syrup gets in between the sheet metal and the wood, blah, blah, blah? Well, number one, with this being drilled down and secured, that sheet metal is pressed pretty firm up against the wood. Meaning I can't even lift it up to create a gap there. Secondly, if I was a betting man, what do you think the bees are going to do there? They're going to propolize around it, right? They're going to seal it. So, am I worried about that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's it. You too can do this. It is not difficult. You just maybe need to pick up a couple tools. If you don't have a hole saw, you'll need to get one of those, but it's very easy. I'm really excited to try these. I think it's going to be the exact ticket that I need to be able to feed slow and thin, and really stimulate those queens. Keep them laying as long as possible heading into the winter. Raise all those good fat bees, as many as you can, and that should help your overwintering success, or at least it should help mine because that's what I did wrong. So, but that's it. And then just rinse, repeat, and make more. So I've made 6 of these now. I've got, what, 4 more to go. So I'll have 10 total out in the yard. And I think that's it. So be sure, like I said, check out their website. It's brbfeeder.com. If you just need lids or you just need some extra adapters, they do sell those a la carte. They also sell the complete kits like this, very reasonably priced. I want to say they're in the $20 range per kit, $25 or $27 per kit. I think the bucket one is a few dollars more than the ball mason jar, probably just because you're also paying for the cost of the bucket. But yeah, very reasonably priced, and I think they're gonna be the ticket that I've been looking for. So I think that's it. I'm gonna keep making some more lids. I got 4 more to go, and try to knock these out and get them ready for this weekend, so I can start feeding my bees and getting the 2026 spring officially up and going. Because they were out flying earlier today, and they're just going gangbusters with that pollen coming in. So I know they're rearing brood like crazy. So let's go ahead and get some nectar in these colonies and really just give them a nice boost and a jump start. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please be sure to give it the thumbs up. God bless you and your bees, and we'll see you on the next video.